Lounge. Thank you all for coming. If you're new here, thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll know when I upload. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your love and support. I really do appreciate it. And this video is going to be a kind of tough topic. I'm going to talk about addiction and how it go together with mental illness. And I'm also going to be talking about the variety of race and age groups who has the highest and the lowest rate of substance abuse. And then I'm going to intertwine with that with my own personal experience. So if you want to see more of this video, please sit and watch and get comfortable, because this is an entertainment and informative video, okay? Now, with addiction, a lot of people don't understand why or how people become addicted to drugs, of course. Many people mistaken that people such as myself who are an addict, they tend to think that we lack moral principles and willpower and that we can stop on our own at any given time. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to debunk that and let you know that is false. Just because someone is on drugs or used to abuse drugs does not necessarily mean that we don't have morals or principles or standards or willpower, okay? They also just simply think that we can just choose to stop at any given moment, which is not true, because in reality, drug addiction is a complex disease and quitting is usually takes more than good intentions and a strong will to quit. Okay, addiction is a chronic disease characterized by drugs, seeking and use that is compulsive or difficult to control despite harmful consequences. That means that, you could tell me that I'm not going to give out too many names of drugs because I don't want to get banned, but let's say that the hard stuff, you can stop, or even with alcohol, you can stop, and really that goes beyond willpower and just a good intention, a good thought. It's difficult for someone who is an addict, who used to use or is using. It's difficult for that person to stop, because I'm going to let you know that the disease is centered in our brain. So because that is centered in our brain, I'm just going to let you know, like I always do in most of my videos, anytime you're dealing with the brain and the chemicals are unbalanced, you have a mental disorder. And addiction is a chronic disease that is hard to stop or to quit. And therefore, because it's centered in the mind and the brain, it is considered a mental illness. They don't refer drug addiction as a mental illness, but it's a mental illness because it's dealing with the brain. Okay? You can tell me that if you don't stop doing alcohol, you will ruin your life. I may hear you say that and want to stop because I don't want to harm my life. But at the same time, I have the ability to stop because it's an illness, okay? The initial decision to take drugs is voluntarily for most people, but repeated drugs use can lead to brain changes that challenge an addict person self-control and interfere with their ability to resist intense urges to take drugs. These changes can be persistent, which is why drug addiction is considered a relapsing disease. Okay, so what it's basically saying, of course, like I said before, you could tell me that alcohol or this type of drug or that type of drug that I'm doing will send me into a spiral. It can make me homeless. It can make me unemployable. But I don't have the ability to stop, especially if I've been persisting with using that substance. So I just want to let you know that. And like I said in the beginning, a lot of people mistaken that we have lack of morals and principles and willpower and that we can stop at any given moment. That is false. Because once you start and you continue to do it, it's something centered in the body and in the mind that keeps me from stopping or keeps me from quitting. I may want to quit all day long, but I need something in place to help me stop because I can't do it on my own. People in recovery are at an increase for returning to drugs even after years of sobriety. And that is true. I've seen people with 35 years, 25 years, and I'm going to go into some more details, but I've seen and heard about people that I've come in contact with who had this amount of years, 25 years, 15 years, 30 years sobriety, and yet they fell victim to going back to using drugs. Now here we go again with the brain, okay? This is the parts of the brain that the drugs really do affect, and that is the learning, judgment, decision making, stress, especially memory, and behavior. Those two, the memory and the behavior, are the biggest besides the decision and judgment. Okay. Now, I done came across some stuff online because, again, I talk about issues in my community per se, most likely in my community, because these are issues that needs to shine light on for our people to know and understand that these are problems that we need to fix in our community. And so I went on a website, okay, and it's called drugabuse.org. Drugabuse.org has some pretty good information on kids that use and abuse drugs. Unfortunately, I could not put the pictures where I want them to be, and so they popped up in the middle of my video after 25 minutes. Sorry for the inconvenience. The National Institute on Drug Abuse announced new data from the annual monitoring the future study conducted by researchers at the University of Michigan. Okay, and this is data. Check this out. This is data for 8th graders, 10th graders, and 12th graders from 2017 to 2020. And here are the pictures. Okay, as you can see here, these are some pretty high numbers in a few areas, especially alcohol and street drugs. Okay, they are very, very high, in these children, in these adolescents. Okay. So now there's another website I went to, and I found some information on there that I kind of knew before, but then there was some information that I also seen that appalled me. It was very intriguing and interesting, and we're going to get to it. Okay, so according to the National Survey on Drug Abuse and Health, okay, the NSDUH, 19.7 million American adults aged 12 and older battle a substance use disorder in 2017. Okay, almost 74% of adults suffering from a substance use disorder in 2017 struggle with an alcohol use disorder. So, if a person is taking crack, they also mixed it with alcohol. Okay, 38% of adults in 2017 battled street drugs, again, disorder. Okay, and then the same year, 1 out of every 8 adults struggled with both alcohol and drug use disorders simultaneously. It just pops up. It just pops up. In 2017, 8.5 million American adults suffered from both a mental disorder and a substance use disorder, or co-occurring disorders. So what that means is that most people, most adults that are mentally ill also have a substance abuse use disorder. So that means they're dual diagnosed. Okay. Drug abuse and addiction cost American society more than $740 billion annually in loss of workplace productivity, healthcare expenses, and crime-related costs. Ooh, that's a lot of money. If I had $740 billion, I wouldn't know what to do. That half of that money you wouldn't see in your lifetime. More than half of that money you would not see in your lifetime. Okay? And society contributes $740 billion a year to help with these programs for people who are addicted to drugs. That part I did not know, and I was just shocked by that, because they say DC is broke. There's no way that we're broke. There's literally no way that the city is broke. Anytime you spend $740 billion a year for programs to help people to stop using and to get to life on life terms, how are we broke? There's no way. And I was just blown away by that. This is information, like I said, some of them I kind of had an idea of, and there's others, like I said, like with that one, that just took me by surprise and blew me away. Now, the causes of addiction. Now, let me tell you what I thought before I tell you what I found. Okay. When it comes to addiction, someone who is an addict, I really personally thought that it was just on their past and current environment and whatever they have gone through in the past or the present. That's what I thought. I really thought that's what it was based off of. And that was that. But nay, like my girl Bailey Siren said, nay. This one really took the top off my head. Genetics. Genetics is an impact of one's environment on gene expression account for about 40 to 60% of a person's risk of addiction. That means that when it comes to your genetics, okay, you have a 40 to 60% chance of becoming an addict. Yeah, I didn't even know that genetics had anything to do with that. Now, I did talk about the environment piece, okay, and here it is. Environmental factors that may increase a person's risk of addiction include a chaotic home environment and abuse parents' drug use and attention towards drugs, peer influence, community attitudes towards drugs, and poor academic achievement. So, what they're saying is a person's environment increases, like I said, whether it's past or present. And then if that person happens to have both parents who abuses drugs, also have an increased chance of becoming an addict. And then, of course, we all know peer influences, peer pressure. A lot of teenagers, a lot of adolescents become addicted because of peer pressure. Okay. And then also community attitudes, meaning that you walk around, you happen to get in the midst of all that smoke and stuff that people are blowing, and it gets into your system to the point you want to try it out. And that's how you become addicted through the community attitude towards it. And then poor academic achievement. I guess what that is, when you're not achieving in school academically, you tend to spiral down and you become addicted. You become an addict. So, teenagers and people with mental health disorders are more at risk for drug use and addiction than any other population. So, adolescents and people with mental illness are more at risk than any other population for drug abuse. And again, like I said, anything dealing with the brain is a mental illness all by itself. And like I said, you will not hear drug addiction or drug abuse referenced towards mental illness. But if you go on the website of AmericanAddictionCenter.gov, you will find that, yeah, it's a mental illness. It's a mental illness. Anything dealing with the brain is a mental illness. Okay. Now, this is the statistics of the specific population of demographics addiction. Okay. For adolescents between 12 and 17 in 2017, approximately 4% of the American adolescent population aged 12 to 17 suffer from a substance use disorder. This equals to 992,000 teens, or 1 in 25 people in this group. That's a lot. That's a lot. About 443,000 adolescents aged 12 to 17 had an alcohol use disorder in 2017, or 1.8% of adolescents. Okay, that's still kind of a lot, 443,000. That's still a bit. An estimated of 741,000 adolescents suffer from street drugs use disorder in 2017, or about 3% of this population. What can I say? What can I say? Alcohol and street drugs are the most common in adolescents between 12 and 17. Now we're going to 18 to 25. Okay. About 5.1 million young adults aged 18 to 25 battled a substance use disorder in 2017, which equates to 14.8% of this population and about 1 in 7 people. That, yeah, the numbers are going to climb. The numbers are going to climb as I go further. It's going to climb. Okay. About 3.4 million young adults aged 18 to 25 had an alcohol use disorder in 2017, or about 10% of young adults. So once again, alcohol and street drugs are the most common. Most common. Now, heroin use among young adults between 18 and 25 years old doubled in the past decade. So that means 10 years ago, it was not a lot of young adults, but now it doubled. That's a lot. And it's letting you know that this stuff is out here and it's out here to destroy. Now, people over 26, approximately 13.6 million adults aged 26 or older struggle with substance use disorder in 2017, or 6.4% of this age group. About 10.6 million adults aged 26 or older had an alcohol use disorder in 2017, or about 5% of this age group. About 4.3 million adults aged 26 or older had a street drug use disorder in 2017, or 2% of this age group. Okay. Now, men versus women. In 2017, about 9.4% of men and 5.2% of women aged 12 and older had a substance use disorder. So that means that more men are subject to using drugs than women. But check this out. Men may be more likely to abuse street drugs than women, but women may be just as prone to addiction as men when they do abuse them. So that means that even though men are more likely to use, women are just as bad. We're prone to it too. Once we start using, that's it. Because it's really, drugs don't have a gender, race, color, taste, none of that. It don't care where you at. It don't care where you from. It don't care about your gender. All it's going to do is do what it does. And it's to get you addicted and get you to stay addicted to the point that it interferes your life. Okay? Now we're going with the race. Okay? American Indians and Alaska Natives aged 12 and older had the highest rate of substance abuse and dependence in 2017 at 12.8%. I did not know that. I thought that in my community it was high. But from this research, it says American Indians and Alaska Natives have the highest rate in 2017. Whites had a 7.7% rate of substance abuse in 2017. In my community, about 6.8% of African Americans struggled with substance abuse use disorders, while the percentage of Hispanics or Latinos who suffer from substance abuse use disorders was 6.6. Now, approximately 4.6% of Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders suffer from substance use. Okay, they suffered. And Asian Americans had the lowest rate of substance abuse disorders at 3.8%. Okay, now I gave you the data. Okay, I gave you the data, and it kind of, like I said, some of the information, like when it comes to the genetics, I was unaware of that. I didn't know that genetics had anything to do with substance abuse at all. But when they said 40 to 60%, that is a high number for genetics to be involved. That is a high number. Okay, so most likely, put it this way, genetics are involved completely, 40 to 60%. You know, it's only 100%, and you got 40 to 60%. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you my experience. Okay. When I first started out, it was peer pressure. Really, the digging up my nose. Wow. Peer pressure. And I don't know if you remember in my last video, but when I was 15, I started out. Because I met someone. And I wouldn't say it was peer pressure. It was more like trying to fit in with who I was dealing with. And so it really didn't hit me hard until I was about 16. Okay. Now, mind you, my life was starting to spiral that fast already, just alone with the issues that I was dealing with, my mental illness, all of that good jazz. Okay. And then drugs came involved, and it made it worse. I even was not just abusing street drugs, but I was also abusing my medication. I either I take it when I felt like it, or sometimes I just take it to even get a bigger boost. And like I said before, it started out as trying to fit in with the crowd. And then more things were starting to happen to me, you know, more rape, all of that. And so I really wind up starting to use it more for a comfort zone. So I wouldn't have to deal with those issues. And let's face it, the issues were still there. It just was worsened after my high went down. And I don't know if you remember, but I told you in my last video that at 16 years old, I also was shipped out to Florida to another institution. And that gave me a little break. But when I came back to DC at 17, close to my 18th birthday, I took off running. Like, running. And I started experimenting more and more and more. And my life became worse and worse and worse. I was actually introduced to a program when I was 20. And this is a year before I had my son. And this was also a couple months before I got pregnant with my son, my oldest son. And I didn't want to hear anything they had to say. I was only there for a place. And here we go again with the institutional mindset, because why would you want to go to a program such as a drug program for a place to stay? But again, institutional mind. I felt in the weirdest way, I felt safe, I felt comfortable. I felt comfortable in all the mess that I was going. Sorry about that. Problems with the phone. But once I came out that program, I got pregnant with my son. And then I stopped. But after I had him, I went back to doing it over and over and over and over again. Now, I've been in and out of this program. Once I got introduced to it, I was in and out of the program because of the wrong reasons. I really expected them to fix me, and they didn't have the power, to fix me. And so I remember reading in the book, okay? In the book, it talks about how the obsession lies within the mind, and that's what keeps us from quitting. We can't stop because the obsession, and then the allergy, which is the body. The body is craving for it. So those two put together, those two components put together, it's hard for a person to just up and stop. And like I said in the beginning of this video, that doesn't necessarily mean I lack morals or standards or principles. It's just when you're using and abusing, it clouds your judgment, it clouds your decision making, it clouds your memory, it clouds the mind, and the body is always going to keep craving for it. And so I recently came to a decision to stop, but I did not have that. I didn't have the power to stop. Like, my willpower was not enough for me. And like what the book said, and I totally agree with it now. And I'm not getting religious or anything, but I had to get on a spiritual path for me to be able to stop. Okay, and so that's what happened. And then not only that, I got tired. And I wasn't getting high anymore. So those three things put together is what helped me to stop. Okay, and I really truly believe that book now, that's in the program, and it said a lot of truthful things when it comes to the mind and the body, and then regardless of how long you been clean, you still need to stay on a spiritual path, whatever path that may be for you. But you will have to stay on that spiritual principles to keep yourself from going back. And like I said in the beginning, also in the video, that it doesn't matter. You could have 35 years clean, and you thinking that one more won't hurt, but that one more will drive you to harming yourself. And eventually you perish, you die. And I've read that in the book as well. It talked about someone's experiences where the guy had 30 years. He got on top of his game. He gained a lot of material success. And of course, he stayed clean throughout those years. But because he gained so much material success, he thought that it was okay for him to have one. And 4 years after that first one, he died. So when a person stops, no matter how long they have stopped, when they pick back up, they're picking up where they left off. And so it's very more complex than what a lot of people think who are not abusers. They think it's just, oh, you can stop. It's not that simple. It's not that simple at all. Something has to tap in within that person to make them want to stop. They can want to stop, but to actually stop and get the help they need is what needs to happen. Something in the individual's life has to happen for them to act upon stopping. Okay. And so, I have done it for so long, for more than half of my life. And like I said in the beginning, I did it to fit in. But then after a while, me using the drugs had put me in places of repeating the same thing, which is rape, molestation, all of that. I kept putting myself in that predicament because of the drugs, And so once I understood my problem, because I had to understand my underlying problem, and I had to face those problems, and I'm still facing some of them today. And of course, I don't go back. I don't go back because the life that I'm living now is the life I've always wanted. And I got two great kids with my husband. I wish I could see my oldest, but it's not fit or ordained to me at this moment. And I don't beat myself up for the things I have done, because I am using that as a learning experience. So that way I don't make the same mistake over and over and over again. It was hard at me at first to even admit that I had a problem, not only with mental illness, but also I got these two things. Okay, two things that I had to face and admit and accept, and that's me having a mental illness, one, and that I also had an addiction, and I didn't want to admit neither one of those things. And so once I was able to come to the accept to those terms, then I was able to work on finding the core problem. And once I found the core problem, I had to learn and listen to somebody else to be able to get the solution that I need to my problem. It took me a long time. It took me years to be able to finally listen to my husband, because I was, again, had a problem with authority figures. And so when I used to look at my husband as an authority figure because of his age. And that wasn't just, that wasn't the case. It was now I know that wasn't the case. Now I know he was saying it out of love, out of unconditional love for me, and that he didn't want to continue to sit by and watch me kill myself. And I had a problem with that. But now I see it for what it really is. He just genuinely loved and cared for me unconditionally and did not want to continue to sit back and watch me kill myself. You know, when you have somebody that tell you about you and your issues that you have, that they can see, you know, they telling you out of love. Some people may tell you you got to have a spirit of discernment, where you could tell who is for you and who is not for you. And to be able to do that is by looking at their actions and what they say to you. That's the only way you'll be able to tell who is for you and who is against you. And a lot of people I thought was against me, which they were, and there was a lot of people that was trying to, but I didn't want to accept the help at the time, and I was bullheaded. I thought that I could do it by myself, and unfortunately, that was not the case because if I continued on with that path, most likely I'll be dead right about now at the age of 33. And so I want to tell my people who are struggling that there is hope for you. There is places and people who are willing to help you and guide you and help you unlearn to relearn, so that way you be able to become a productive member of society. Excuse me, of society. Okay. Um, So, with that being said, what I'm going to do, okay, for my people out there that are struggling and may be watching this video, I will leave a few links and a few numbers, I'm going to say, down below for you all to call if you see somebody, know someone, or even for yourself. You can call to get the help you need, but make sure that you're ready, because if you're not ready, the process is going to seem tedious and it's going to seem like you're getting annoyed. And there's a lot of things you have to do to be able to build yourself back up to becoming a productive member of society. Okay. And remember this, the states and locals are willing to put up money for you to get the help that you need. So don't worry about the cost. Worry about the cause, the reason. Worry about the reason why you're going in there. If it's to have a better life, you do that. If it's to have some type of spiritual awakening grounds, you do that. But don't do it because someone told you you need to do it. Because when you do that, you're not going to make it. And I'm telling you this from my own experience. I did it to try to have a place to stay. I did it because somebody told me to. I did it because for my son. I did it for my kids. And those are the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons. Do it for you, and in the process, be easy on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Because the best person that could love you more than anything besides a higher power is you. See you. Bye.